Welcome to the Norfolk Q&A series. The purpose of this series is basically just to showcase and celebrate both chefs and local restaurants in the area. Obviously, Foster is based in Norfolk, and we just want to take this opportunity to get to know the local community better and to help promote in order to hopefully to lead to further success as well.
Lovely.
So what first drew you into professional cooking, and how has that early inspiration shaped the kind of restaurant you and Aga have created here at the Old Bank?
I honestly kind of fell into cooking in my late teens when I really just needed something, just like kind of some kind of direction to my life. I ended up on a course over at Cambridge, doing chef training. Got myself a job, and it all kind of spiraled from there, really. And I mean, as far as the way it's shaped where we are, what we do, I think everything that you do and see in this industry really kind of, I mean, I know that probably sounds like a bit of a cop-out answer, but it all gets like logged in,
in the brain in terms of,
it's just like kind of things you look back on, and it might not be the most obvious thing, or it might be a dish that you did 20 years ago.
Sticks with you.
But like kind of, just little things, and they, I think everything you do and see, and everybody you talk to, and every time somebody says taste this, smell this, it all gets logged, and I think it all, you can't help but to be like kind of shaped by
it's the culmination of it all.
It is. I mean, there's no particular things that I can really like point to and say that's why I am where I am now. It's just it's a culmination.
The Old Bank's menu, it looks like a celebration of the ingredients, their local provenance and seasonality as well. So it sounds as though that your overall philosophy is an extension of your personal philosophy about food, the celebration of food and being local. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, we try and buy as locally as we can. Some things are easier than others, and some things I think it would surprise people that you can't get around here. Fish, for example, is shellfish, amazing. Fresh fish, weirdly hard to come by, considering we're 4 miles from the sea as we sit and everything. But
I didn't know that.
It's I mean, we use local fishmongers and everything. So like I say, shellfish around here, absolutely incredible. Some of the best. But the fish we occasionally have to go a little bit further afield for.
Yeah.
But as much as we can, we try and buy as close as we can, and we definitely try and buy within the country, the British Isles.
What aspects of that is important to you? Why is that something that it's a behaviour-driven thing, but where is that coming from your perspective?
I mean, I think that's the way I cook, for one thing. I mean, we would call our food modern European, because it is influenced by techniques and everything that have come from France, from Italy, from Spain, and places like that. But the ingredients that we use, the ingredients that I like to cook with, it's just mostly good old familiar British flavours, really, and flavour combinations. I think that you can get within these borders some of the best food in the world. I mean, British fruit is some of the best in the world. I appreciate fruit that could come from the other side of the world. It's delicious, but my personal point of view is I would rather put a strawberry on the menu that's been grown 20 miles up the road.
Absolutely.
It's the strawberries that we use. I'd rather do that than kind of hunt around for exotic ingredients that might come from thousands of miles away. Yeah,
and it's probably something that the diners respect and align with as well, I suppose, isn't it?
I think so. It's a small traditional little village in rural West Norfolk. I don't think people come here to eat anything other than good old honest British cooking, which for all of the refinement that we put into it is essentially what it is.
Absolutely.
It is just traditional, really good, honest cooking at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's great. And your restaurant has achieved recognition for being this high-end ingredient-driven, sort of brought that into the village setting. What benefits do you experience as a chef achieving such success outside of a major metropolitan city?
Well, we were talking about this just before you came, actually. It was probably the one question on here that I struggle with the most. But I think the main thing is you stand out a little bit more out here. There's pluses and minuses, and I know
Yes,
that,
yeah.
There's pluses and minuses to it. Finding staff is not as easy. Services is not as easy. I mean, in London, you can, 4 o'clock in the morning, you can call and you can get somebody to come and fix your fridge. We don't have that out here. You might have to wait a couple of days for a part here and there and stuff like that. But you are more standing alone out here. So the visibility is more, and that helps as a chef and as a restaurant. I think massively to kind of like let you just edge ahead a little bit. And
it's a less crowded marketplace, probably, isn't it, in this area?
Yeah, I think so.
And sourcing quality ingredients and managing high customer standards comes with real investment. So how do you balance the everyday practical business pressures of ingredients costs, for example, with staying true to your values around quality and authenticity?
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons that we run the style of menu that we run now, in that you have to balance your menu these days. You've got your big ticket items, and you've got your GP winners and your GP losers, and with a tasting menu, you can have something that's going to really kind of bring that GP up, and then you can have something that's going to bring it down that you want to use because it's an exceptional piece of produce, for example. So with that style of menu, you can really balance it. You can really balance it out. Obviously, we don't have the wastage that can go along with a a la carte style choice menu. We can be very selective with what we use. So I think that is the
key.
I think that is the key, really, to being able to do what we do and keep the price kind of where we kind of want it to be. So
have you ever done a la carte in the past?
And we have, up until I think we've been doing this style of menu for about 3.5-ish years now. We ran a tasting menu alongside an a la carte menu at the time, and it's fun. It has its other challenges running an a la carte menu, but we were just seeing more and more and more. It was kind of the way we wanted to go.
The direction that you were headed in. Yeah, that makes sense.
Very, very much so.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And food freshness and waste reduction obviously are matters which all operators face. So how do you approach food waste? And we were talking about the allotment earlier. Has that changed your perspective at all on food production, food waste, etc., and how you view that?
I think we've always been pretty hot on waste. I mean, one thing the allotment allows us to do is throw away a lot less, especially from the veg point of view. I mean, we've got 2 buckets out the back where all the veg scraps go.
Okay.
So virtually no veg scraps go in the bin whatsoever. So they all go to the allotment and into the compost and everything. Like I say, moving to the tasting menu format was very much informed by not wanting to try and waste less food. A lot of the trimmings that we'll generate, we actually we'll cook them up and have them for staff dinner.
Fantastic.
We try and not throw away.
It's something you're conscious of.
It's something that we're pretty conscious of. Where we can, meat trimmings, for example, where we can incorporate into a dish, we'll always try and incorporate that into a dish. But I think we were always quite hot on that. We were always quite aware that we wanted to try and waste as little as possible.
So operating a fine dining restaurant for nearly a decade is a huge achievement, so congratulations on that. How have you seen the dining landscape and customer behaviour changes over this time, and have you needed to adapt at all?
Well, strictly speaking, we haven't always been a fine dining restaurant. Whilst we have seen a change in customers. I mean, the big one obviously was after the lockdowns. Everybody was just flooding out. They just wanted to eat anything. That was great. Now I think people are a little bit more selective with where they go and what they eat. But I think people are slightly more prepared to spend a little bit more on something less often these days. But I think really one of the big things is as we've changed, our customers have actually kind of had to adapt.
Almost evolve alongside.
Evolve with us. I mean, we started off, like I say, we didn't really open this as a fine dining restaurant. We opened this as a little neighbourhood bistro, and we had cakes and quiches on the bar, and we had a sandwich menu, and we ran a breakfast menu, and obviously we do all those things now across the road. But for a long time, we kind of started off doing all these things, and we sort of chipped away
That's
at
interesting.
them.
Do you think there's any misconceptions of diners or the public have of fine dining restaurants in the sense of what it takes to run, what the experience should be? Are there any kind of like misconceptions that you experience or have seen others experience?
No, well, yes. I think people are very much more aware of what it takes to run a business these days. I think there's been TV shows, and also the rise of social media has like kind of really opened a door, like giving people an insight into the running, how a restaurant runs, the back of house operations, and everything like that. I think people know what it takes, to put on the plate what we put on the plate, and I think people really do appreciate that. I think the misconceptions that you get are still all the old ones about kind of, fine dining, so I'll be hungry on the way home, and a lot of the time that couldn't be further from the truth.
What does keep you motivated after years in the kitchen, and how do you define success in your work?
I mean, bums on seats, really. There's no better yardstick for a successful restaurant, other than a lack of empty seats.
Bookings,
really.
Yeah.
Bookings across the road. We can turn tables all day long. And that's they run the same ethos of quality produce and quality production that we do. So from that point of view, seeing how busy that is, seeing sold out nights here, that's your yardstick.
It's a measure of success.
Yeah. I mean, we all business owners get out of bed in the morning for the same thing, that it's a business, it's our livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
It pays our bills, it pays our rent, it lets us live our life and everything. But I think the difference is that we just want to make it the best we can make it as well, and that is kind of the motivation for pushing as hard as we do.
And out of interest, with your diners, is there a split in terms of locals versus tourists? Do you see tourists in this area? Or is it predominantly? Yeah.
No, it's and again, I'll draw on. We've got the old store across the road. I wouldn't know what the exact split was, but you can walk in here on a Saturday night, and half the people could be faces that you might have seen a month, 2 months, 3 months. Every sort of like few months here and there, and then half of them will be new faces, people that you've never seen before, and it's really nice. I mean, we're lucky that we're in a quite touristy area, so that trade is there. But you still have to draw them in. You still have to these people still have to be made aware that you're here, and
absolutely,
recommended and everything like that. So yeah, we have a real mixed bag. Across all of the sites.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And lastly, so looking ahead, how do you see the Old Bank continuing to evolve in terms of produce, people, or the overall dining experience? You mentioned earlier that you're constantly pushing and looking to.
I think that's it, really. Yeah. I mean, I think we've reached a point where we're really happy with kind of what we offer, how we offer it, and it's now just about smoothing down rough edges here and there, and just trying different things.
There's incremental kind of.
Yeah. It's I don't think there's going to be any massive any seismic shifts in what we do or anything like that, but it's just little bits. It's the little things, the little details. It's just refining those and kind of keep doing that. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's all. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you.
Appreciate this.